Well, I recognized that blood was a symbol of life, and I knew that life came from God. So initially, I gave some credibility to the teaching. In the 1970s, my wife became very ill. She started developing bleeding into the skin, and she had huge bruises, black bruises all over her body where the blood had come into the skin. So we took her to the hospital, and they made a test, and there is a certain element in the blood, leukocytes I think they call them, that cause if there's a vein or something that breaks, it causes it to heal up, and without those things there, your body doesn't stop bleeding, it keeps on bleeding. There are people who are called hemophiliacs, and they have this condition, and if they cut themselves or anything, they have to be very careful because they can easily bleed to death because the cut does not heal. So when they made a test of my wife, you should have around 100,000 of these elements in your blood in a test, and she was down to about 10,000, or a bare minimum of what she needed to heal. So they wanted to give her an injection, and I asked them, I says, does this contain any blood at all? And they said no. And if they had said that it had blood in it, at that time I would have said, no, we cannot accept it. But what they wanted to give her is called prednisone, and we allowed that, and she took that for quite a long time.
It was a medicine?
Yes, prednisone.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a long time for her to recover from that, but that shows that if I had believed that to be true, I was willing to stand by it. But as time went on, I began to realize that there was no basis for the teaching. I was very impressed by a letter from a man who said that he was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, and he was puzzled with this teaching about blood. He says, from what I can see in the Bible, blood is a symbol of life. He said, but it's only a symbol, and life is greater than the symbol. So he said, how can you sacrifice the greater thing to hold to the symbol? It's almost like a person has a wedding ring on his finger, which is a symbol of his marriage to his wife, and he'd be willing to let his wife be sacrificed rather than to sacrifice the ring. So it's something like Jesus, when they accused him of violating the Sabbath day because he healed a man on the Sabbath day, and he said, which one of you, if you have an ox or a sheep and it falls into a well, even though it's on the seventh day, who will not then proceed to rescue it? In the Bible, in the letter of James, he speaks of love as the sovereign law. That means that that's the law that is superior to all other laws. There's no law that is superior or equal to the law of love. And in Romans chapter 13, the apostle says that they should not be lacking or be owing anything to anyone except to love their neighbor as theirself. And he says this is the superior law. All other laws are summed up in that. So to take laws from the Mosaic law, the Old Covenant, and let them govern things where a person loses his life to hold to that law is not going by the sovereign law, which is the law of love.